Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today, I need to show you a weird deck, which has gone and won a tournament over in Japan. And it was a little tournament. City Leagues are not going right now. There are no big tournaments in Japan, but it is weird and different and unique, and I adore this. And it is a bit of a gimmick, I'll admit. But I do think there might be something there. It is Quad Ogerpon. It feels like Gen 5 was the last time we had a good quad deck, although maybe there's one I'm forgetting. I played Quad Terrakium back in the day. I played Quad Tyurum back in the day. Well, now apparently, we've got Quad Ogerpon. And actually, this is a Pokemon that really lends itself to a quad deck. By quad deck, I literally mean there are exactly 4 Pokemon in the entire deck. It is 4 Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. That is it. That is the entirety of the Pokemon line. There are no other Pokemon. You will, guaranteed, start with this every single game because there are no other Pokemon with which you can start. Will you mulligan? Yes. Yes, you will mulligan. You will mulligan many times. If you're playing this deck, it might do you good to go and look up the rules on Judge Pools. Judge Pool is where a judge basically reveals cards on the top of your deck until a basic Pokemon is revealed because you've mulliganed too many times. You will mulligan a lot. You will give your opponent a large opening hand. If you play against Quad Ogerpon, and you do not get a bunch of extra cards in your starting hand because your opponent doesn't mulligan, oh, you better feel salty. That is absolutely worth feeling salty about. Your opponent should be mulliganing here. Also worth pointing out, 36 basic grass energy. 20 trainers, we'll get to them in a minute. 4 Pokemon, 36 basic grass. But if we remember how Ogerpon works, then even though that is clearly an absurd amount of grass energy, it actually does kind of make perfect sense. You see, Ogerpon has got the ability Teal Dance. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic grass energy from your hand to this Pokemon. If you attach energy to a Pokemon in this way, draw a card. And actually here, this is kind of working. Because let's say you get all 4 Ogerpon out. Not a given, not guaranteed, but let's say that you do. If you get all 4 of your Ogerpon out, you're probably going to have 4 energy every turn, or near enough. 36 of the 60 cards in your deck are energy. There are other cards we're going to look at in a minute which get extra energy. You are not going to be struggling for energy, and you're basically drawing an extra 4 cards a turn. Now, admittedly, if you're playing 4 energy a turn and drawing 4 cards a turn, sooner or later you will start to run dry. But this works largely because it has a draw engine. You are actually drawing cards over and over again. In the best case scenario, you are literally drawing 4 extra cards a turn. That can actually end up working. There comes a point where this actually works. And then all of a sudden you are drawing enough cards to make this worthwhile. It is weird, I grant you. But one of the reasons I take this more seriously than a lot of similar decks isn't just because it's gone and won a tournament over in Japan, although that obviously helps. It is the fact that it has a built-in draw engine, and having a built-in draw engine makes a huge, huge difference. But you've also got the attack Myriad Leaf Shower. 3 grass energy, 30 damage, plus 30 more for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. And that actually adds up pretty quickly. And don't forget, in terms of weakness, you're not hitting a huge amount of weakness here. But there are some relevant Pokemon you're hitting for weakness. Chief among them, obviously, is Charizard. You are hitting Charizard for weakness. That is awesome. Charizard is one of the best Pokemon in the game right now. If you're expecting a Charizard heavy metagame, this is phenomenal. But also Roaring Moon. Those are 2 very, very relevant grass-weak Pokemon that are in the format at the moment. Against those Pokemon with this, you should be feeling very, very confident. But even against anything else, like turn 2, you should be able to have this rolling. Because you attach for turn, attach using the ability, and then next turn you attach for turn, attach using ability. That's 4 energy on there. That's 120 plus 30 times however much energy is on your opponent's active. One of the issues here is you have no single prize Pokemon. You might be trading 2 for 1. That's a little bit of a problem. But it is also worth pointing out that against single prize decks, you are going to be rolling quickly. Very, very quickly getting one-hit KOs. And they might not be, and that can make a very big difference. Against bigger decks, you're hoping a 2-hit KO or get up to ridiculous things. Because here's the point, yeah? Every Ogerpon with which you are not currently attacking, you are still attaching an energy every turn. So, 2 free turns in, your Ogerpon is coming up with 2 free energy on, and then you're attaching 2 per turn. That can add up very, very quickly. But then as we start to look at the trainer line here, it's a thin trainer line, there isn't very much, but it all makes perfect sense. Like Gardenia's Vigor. If ever there was a perfect deck for Gardenia's Vigor, it's this one. Because you draw 2 cards, and look, drawing 2 cards is not good, okay? But remember, you've got your Ogerpon, so you're not really drawing 2 cards a turn, you should be drawing 6, which is why you can get away with drawing 2 with Gardenia's Vigor. But then you get to attach 2 grass energy from your hand to one of your benched Pokemon. So not only are you building up your non-attacking, non-active Pokemon using their own abilities, but you're also building them up using Gardenia's Vigor. This is going to add up very, very quickly. Yes, you've only got 4 of them, but you should be drawing through a fair bit of your deck using your ability, and that's going to help. The other thing we've got here is Bug Catching Set. Another new card, new item card. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck and find 2 in any combination of Grass Energy and Grass Pokemon and put them into your hand. Well, 2/3 of your deck is Grass Energy / Grass Pokemon. I'm not saying this is Professor's Letter. I'm not saying this will guarantee you 2 Grass Energy every time you use it. But I absolutely am saying that most of the time it will. Like, most of the time, you are going to play this and it's literally just going to be Professor's Letter. You are just going to go and grab 2 basic grass energy, put them into your hand, and then, of course, they can be attached using the ability. So this doesn't just get you 2 grass energy. It gets you 2 grass energy that are attached and then draws 2 cards. Most of the time, this item card will actually read, attach 2 grass energy from your deck to different Pokemon on your field and draw 2 cards, which for an item card is absolutely, utterly absurd. It is broken. In this deck, it is ridiculous. You've then got 4 Nest Ball. Look, you're playing an entirely basic deck. You're playing Nest Ball. There will be games where you start with 1 Ogerpon and you just do not draw into another Ogerpon or a Nest Ball. And then your only Ogerpon gets KO'd and you lose. That's going to happen sometimes. But hopefully, between your 4 Ogerpon, your 4 Nest Ball, and the draw that you're doing with Ogerpon, hopefully you'll be able to get to these sooner rather than later. And remember, things like Bug Catching Set are going to thin out your deck. So you're going to be drawing into this stuff a little bit faster because you are filtering through your deck. There is also a single copy of Hisuian Heavy Ball here. Basically, if you've got 1 prize, this is an extra search card, yay. But also, you really want to have 4 on the field. Because each of these is its own little mini draw engine, you do want to have as many of these out as fast as possible. So getting 4 of them out is huge, so Hisuian Heavy Ball becomes a pretty big deal. Your ace spec of choice here is Scoop Up Cyclone, and this is absolutely a given. Scoop Up Cyclone here, absolutely phenomenal. Because firstly, if you don't get KO'd, you get to pick it up, and then yay, good news, you're not giving up 2 prizes. But also, let's say you've got 4 Ogerpon on the field, the one in the active has 4 energy on, but it's got a bit of damage. Scoop Up Cyclone to pick it up with the 4 energy, play it back down, and then you've got 4 energy in hand, 4 Ogerpon on the field, you're drawing 4 cards, you're reattaching all of that energy immediately, you're healing the damage off. Scoop Up Cyclone, because you can pick up an Ogerpon with all the energy attached and immediately reattach it and draw a bunch of cards, Scoop Up Cyclone is the best. And then in terms of other supporters, we've got Free Getsis and Free Penny. Or Free Boss's Orders, and free penny. But come on, you're going for the Gets This one. And the reason this is so good here is because Gets This, I mean, look, you drag a Pokemon from the bench into the active and KO it. That's kind of the point here. You have decent Pokemon that are getting up to decent damage pretty quickly. So being able to pick off a Pokemon on the bench is huge. Being able to go after Pokemon, because you're not always going to be hitting huge damage. You'll be getting decent damage, but getting up to huge damage with this can take a while. So being able to pick Pokemon off the bench is good. The other thing here, of course, is, as I've just mentioned, Penny. Penny lets you pick up one of your Pokemon. It's Scoop Up Cyclone. That's why it ends up being such a gosh darn good card. It is not exactly, but it is very, very similar to Scoop Up Cyclone here. It only works on basic Pokemon, but that's fine because you're only playing basic Pokemon, and it is a supporter card rather than an item. So Scoop Up Cyclone, you can, for instance, pick up an Ogerpon and then reattach energy using Gardenia's Vigor. Penny, obviously you cannot do that, but otherwise, yeah. All the reasons I said Scoop Up Cyclone was so good is why Penny is so good. And honestly, sometimes you can just use Penny as a bit of a draw engine to pick up a Pokemon with a bunch of energy on, redistribute it, and draw a bunch of cards. This is a gimmicky deck, don't get me wrong. And it's a weird kind of deck. But because you've got Bug Catching set, it's a bit more consistent. Because Ogerpon's got the ability that draws cards, it's a lot more consistent. And because you can get up to decent damage quickly and good damage eventually, against any deck with a slow start, this is going to be phenomenal. Although if you keep giving them extra mulligans, then they're going to have a faster start more often, which I do understand. And there is a lot of potential here. Bit of a gimmick, probably. Bad matchups, definitely. If anything can one-hit KO you, it's basically done. But this is going to be a very fast and consistent deck. It is hitting a very good weakness, and I think there is a very good chance here. But I've told you all of that, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me if you think this deck is real and legit. Tell me if you think it's too gimmicky. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Jelena Renji, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.